Hello, hello, hello out there in the Black Gay Comic Geek world. How's everybody doing? Welcome to my Safe Gayven, everybody. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've gone live here on the channel. I know a couple of y'all calling me out. They're like, Michael, when's the next live? Well, here you go. The live is here. So you're welcome. Hopefully I still remember how to do this. There's not a lot of issues or anything like that because, yeah, it's a struggle. That's why we started. That's exactly why I started late, because there was a bit of technical difficulties. But with that said, guys, let me introduce myself. If this is your first time checking me out, checking out the channel, checking out a live, first, let me say welcome. My name is Michael. I call myself the Black Gay Comic Geek. I always say the things that I love to talk about here on the channel has blood, sex, gore, and magic, or any variation of the four. So I mostly like to talk about fantasy, sci-fi, horror, action movies, superheroes, comic books. But of course, I also love to talk about Black representation and queer representation. That's why we are here. So if that's something that you are interested in, come subscribe to the channel. Help me grow and everything like that. Hit the like button on this live so that it hits the YouTube algorithm. More people can show up in the live. More people can show up in the chat, because this is a very special episode. And I am super excited to be able to get this done and book this superstar that is currently going to be on the chat. So guys, if you have not realized, Boots is currently one of the highest rated shows currently on Netflix. And it is based off the real life story of Greg Cope White, and it's based off his book called The Pink Marine. And there are currently 8 episodes on Netflix. And your boy got a little bit of pull, because as I've been reviewing every single episode, so if you haven't seen my reviews for episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, go check those out. But with that said, I have got the writer of episode 7 on here. And so we're going to bring him onto the stream. So let us welcome the fabulous, the multifaceted, because he's a writer, actor, director, and producer. Like, I wish I had as much talent as this man has. Let us welcome Dominic Colon to the stream. I wish I had sound effects.
Woo! Bra, 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 bra. I'll be your sound effects. Michael, thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome.
I'm
just thank you for saying, thank you for saying yeah.
Well, I mean, you give, us, in our show so much love. I was attracted to your first review. I was like, first I was like, oh, let me pull up, see if this person's gonna talk shit. And like, you not only did you not talk shit, but like, I could feel your love for the show. I could feel your love for the characters. And this, ever since we came out, like just the people really love the show. They want to talk about it. They want to talk to the cast. They want to talk to us. And it kind of worked out. So I'm just happy to be here because I love the show and I love talking about it.
Speaking of, I'm actually kind of curious, since you brought that up. Have you gotten a lot of people talking?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to say overwhelmed. Like, wait, you say like talking about the show or talking smack?
Talking smack.
You want to know something? Like, and this is like real talk. So like, I knew because of where we are in this country that there was going to be a certain segment of the population that was going to be triggered, by gay people in the Marines, by Black people in the Marines, you know what I'm saying? By different forms of representation and like, but the gag was, if you look at ratios, how much love we receive versus how much hate, like, I would say it's 90% love and 10% haters, but like the haters are always going to hate because like that's their job. And we're in a rough economy right now.
Yeah.
So like, let them. But like, I'm way more kind of just like wow by the love.
Well, speaking of being wowed by love, I actually want to show you some love. And before we get into like the episode and everything like that, and guys, if you couldn't tell from my other reviews and everything like that, we're talking spoilers, full spoilers. If you haven't seen episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm probably gonna talk a little bit about episode 7, because hopefully by the time you get to this point, you watch episode 7. I mean, not 7, 8 as well. A little bit, not fully, because I'm gonna do a full episode 8 review. but there might be some stuff that might slip in a little bit. That's what he said. But so again, full spoilers. But before we get into it, let's actually get a little bit into your background, Dom. Like before we even get to Boots and how you got involved in Boots, but just tell me how you got started in the industry and just you in general.
You know, so I'm a born and raised in the Bronx. I was never really into school. School was like the thing that I did so that I can do the after school program. And I was very active in the Boys and Girls Club. And like, that was kind of where like I found my community. I found my talent, and I cultivated my talent. And I ended up going to NYU because I was like that nice as an actor.
Fancy.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I was not fancy. I was broke. Like,
fancy enough to go to NYU though.
You know what I'm saying? Well, you know, God has his ways. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it was meant for a part of my journey. And like when I graduated, you know, I worked a lot. I worked a lot as an actor. I did like all the New York shows. And for a large part of my career, I was a bigger actor, like larger in size. And, you know, that kind of how I looked would kind of, I don't want to say pigeonhole me, but definitely like I played all the drug dealers. I played all the bad guys in like all the shows and stuff. And those roles weren't necessarily like indicative of like who I am as a person, you know what I'm saying, and the gifts and the gifts of what I bring to the world. And throughout a very long journey, I discovered that I could write, you know, and not only could I write, I was passionate about writing, and I was passionate about bringing the stories that I didn't see
how did you discover
out into the world.
How did you discover that you were able to like? Were you just like
wait? Is that Jesse? Oh my God, Jesse Solo Lobo.
Which one?
Solo Lobo.
I love Dom. Met him as a kid through Boys Club. The person behind the actor writer is just as amazing. Super proud of him. So yeah.
Well, I mean, so you know, Jesse will tell you. You know, I'm just passionate. I'm a passionate person at everything I do. And when I decided to make a little bit of a shift into writing, you know, I hit it hard. And, you know, and like, there's no one right way to, like, everybody's journey looks different. And for me, in terms of writing, it really kicked off, ironically, right before the pandemic. I wrote this script that got a lot of attention from Hollywood. And then all of a sudden things shifted. And I had to deal with Hulu to develop a show. I was developing a show at Hulu. So basically developing is like kind of creating a show from the ground up. Or like from a source material like Boots is off of the Pink Marine. And I was looking for something in terms of staffing. Staffing is like when you write on someone else's show.
Yeah.
That kind of spoke to me as a person. And I wanted, if I was going to staff, I wanted to staff on something where I knew my voice would matter. And funny enough, you know, I'm very like, and this is like for anybody in the audience, like I talk about God, but that you translating that to whatever it means to you, like universe, spirit, whatever. But I'm sorry, you know, that is what I call that thing that is greater than all of us. And I got a call one day from my best friend, who's an actor. Shout out to Robin De Jesus. He was on Black Rabbit. He was on Tick Tick Boom. And one of our friends had asked him to facilitate or moderate a Q&A for her friend who's a producer who had this movie that involved like 2 gay Latino characters. So Robin didn't necessarily feel comfortable doing that. He's like not very much a public speaker, but I do that. Actually, I've worked for film festivals. I program film festivals. So that's just part of the job. So they asked me to do it. And I was like, fuck it, whatever. Not expecting anything, not because I was going to do something, so whatever. But when the producer of that film, his name was Brent Miller. So Brent, I knew was very good friends with one of my mentors. So I was like, oh, that's like a family thing. Fuck it, you know, I'll do it. Did that. 2 weeks later, I ended up having a meeting with Sony,
Uh-huh.
completely unrelated.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
the executive that I met at Sony, she fell in love with me, and I fell in love with her. And she was like, "Yo, we have this project that I think you'd be amazing to write on." She started talking about Pink Marine, and I wrote it down because that's what Boots was called before. And then when I get offline, or when I get off the meeting, I look up Pink Marine, and it says there was a website that it took me to, and it said currently being produced for Netflix by Norman Lear and Brent Miller. And I was like, yo, I just met Brent Miller a couple of weeks ago. And then I was just like, that's when I put like the team to work. I was like, I hit my manager up. I'm like, yo, I know this dude, whatever, whatever. And he had the script, I want to say by the end of the day. If that was like a Wednesday, on Monday, Brent hit me up and he's like, yo, we're going to go into a meeting. I read your script. I love it. I think you're so talented. I think, I want you in this room. I'm going to advocate for you, whatever. So that was step one, or step two, whatever, if you're counting. And then I met with Andy, and then I met with Greg and his producing partner, and I was the first writer hired for the room.
Okay, that's big.
Yeah.
First writer hired. So with that said, so being that you were the first writer hired, and in terms of like joining a staffing position as a writer in a room of writers, and you're obviously not the showrunner, Andy is, how do they decide which episode you're going to take care of?
Oh, that's so later down the road. So to explain for anyone out there who's curious about writing, usually the first 3 weeks to a month in a writer's room is like talking shit. It is really like, kind of getting to know each other, but also getting to know the show, getting to know the characters. We were lucky enough that we had Andy's pilot to read. So we read it before we even went in for the interviews. And I knew I wanted to do this because I had such strong kind of ties to so many of those characters. I was overweight the majority of my life with John Bowman.
John Bowman, yeah.
I was, and I can't say this with 100% certainty because I don't know how old Andy is. I'm pretty sure I'm older, but like I was a gay teenager in the 90s. I know what that is like. I am from the Bronx. I was never in the service, and I always say this is what I think got me one of the things that got me the job. So I've worked for a long time as a teaching artist in different types of institutions. I did a lot of work in high schools, but I've also done work in juvenile detention facilities, and I taught at Rikers Island. And I kind of broke down the similarities between the military and the prison system. And I think
it's almost the same. It's almost the same. It's almost the same.
It absolutely, in many ways. In many ways it's different, but the psychology of it, yeah, absolutely. So I, and I fell in love with the show, and I knew I had a lot to offer. So when I got in the room, it was Andy or the showrunner rather, will give out the big temp poles of, where he thinks the series is going, and then it's our job to pitch and come up with ideas as to how we're gonna get, from here to here. And then each episode like kind of gets assigned. And one person, like it's a long, complicated process, but like by the time we got to 7, what was funny is that I wanted 6 because 6 was the episode after Choa died.
Yeah.
And there was I knew there was going to be a spiritual element. But then he was like, no, I want you on 7. And I got 7. And I didn't know
that took me off guard. That took me out when that happened. I was like, wait a minute. I didn't know it was going to be this type of show. Like,
oh, it's 7. Well, because there is a big shift. There's a huge shift that happens.
It's definitely a huge shift.
And I think looking back on it, it was absolutely meant for me to have 7. 7 is, quote unquote, it's the gayest episode, I think. And the psychology of it. And I have so much similarity to Sullivan. In terms of like living life and life experience, again, not as a Marine, but as someone who kind of had to grow up in a situation where he had to mask, and present a certain way. because
And
that was the time.
not the mask that people sometimes see on the chats, like mask
No,
for
no,
mask.
no, no,
Not
no,
that
no,
type
no,
of
no.
mask.
Yeah, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, and looking back on it, I
I
mean,
would say,
there would be times when I was
I would
writing.
say 6 and 7 kind of compete in terms of the gayest episode, because 6 also had the sex scene. Like you saw Sullivan and Wilkinson, you saw
Yeah,
some
but you
booty.
know what? Yes, and in a sense of like the sexiness of it and the sex, but I think in terms of like what it is to be queer and the psychology behind it, 7
Yeah,
trumps.
yeah,
Because you
7
got
takes
all
it.
the gay motherfuckers over there, it's just like, and they all kind of going through their own journey,
Yeah,
you know.
definitely. So, with that said, guys, let me actually, shout out some people in the chat. I see you, Stress Free K, BGCG, me, Black Gay Comic Geek, is all about showing love.
Oh,
Yes, I am.
man.
Hi, wonderful that Dominic is doing this, which I agree. I'm so happy that he did this. Was listening to him on another podcast talking about the show.
Oh, thank you.
And Stress Free K said something about your other comment was like, that's too bad that actors of color get pigeonholed into the worst stereotypes society has to offer. That's very true.
Can I address that real quick
Yeah,
too?
go
Also,
ahead.
I think absolutely, and I think when I started working in the business, this was before the where streaming came in. Like when I got out of school, it was like Law and Order SVU, not even the other ones. And like there weren't like we didn't have like just the opportunities that existed, I would say, post 2012 up until very recently, because now there's a little bit of a contraction, but that is part of the reason why I wanted to write. I wanted to write to create opportunities. I wanted to write to be the voice in the room that's going to be like, nah, it's not like that. It ain't going to go. What you're not going to do is do this. And we had that environment where, shout out to Andy. He really hired a writer's room that we were all very different and we had very different life experiences. And because we were so different, we were able to bring those experiences to the table and to the characters. And that's one of the reasons why the show was so good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, not only just that, but like because of that diversity, but in the writer's room, you also feel that on the show with a character like McAfee, an Asian character. You got so many different types of Latin representation.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of times when you think of Latin representation, you only see the Sofia Vergara type.
Absolutely, yeah. And
even like somebody like a Gina Torres, who is a Cuban woman, but she's Afro-Cuban. She always says like, I never get to play Latin. What just happened? He disappeared from the stream. Technical difficulties. It wasn't me, guys. I didn't kick him out. Something happened. He got kicked out of the stream. So I'll wait a little bit to see if he comes. Oh, there we go. He's back.
What happens? That's the man. The man was like,
yeah, that was
about racism.
they trying to the straight agenda tried to kick you out.
No, but I feel you, and that was one of the reasons why there is such like. The show's really well written, you know what I'm saying? Because we would have conversations about, Latinidad and, and colorism and all of that. Like it was active. And a lot of time it was not just conversation, it was teaching, because other people did not come from my experience. So they didn't understand why, I would feel passionate about a certain topic or whatever. And that would bleed into the writers, you know what I'm saying? We'll be able to help each other and check each other's blind spots. And I think all of that, unfortunately, that is not always the norm, but that was the norm in our room. And I think that speaks to Andy's commitment. Andy's very intentional. Like, man, I love Andy. Like Andy's one of those people I will punch anybody in the face for. Like straight, like straight up.
Yeah, even getting a black woman, a show about mostly men, a male bouquet, even getting a black woman in there with Ray's little love interest. I was like, okay, interest, all right.
The lawyer, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't,
the lawyer too, yeah.
And there's, listen, are you gonna win every battle? No, because Andy's fighting, we're all fighting a bigger thing against the corporation of whatever. But we're fighting, and we, you know, and we're making a, you know, I think we're making a difference. You know, I think, you know, Boots is something that is very special, and I think that's why it's resonating with people, and that's why we're here talking about it.
And so with that said, speaking of resonating, and I know you mentioned that you weren't on set for your actual episode.
To shoot my episode, yeah, I was,
Yeah.
you know, I was shooting Task for HBO as an actor, and you know, because you know, the journey with Boots was not linear, and we had a strike that lasted practically a year.
Yeah, it was a long time.
And when we got out of it, your boy was poor, and I wasn't sure what was happening with Boots, and I ended up booking a job, and I was like, you know what? 7 months of work here. No, I gotta go with the 7 months of work. But even still, even in not being on set, I was still like, I was tuned in. I got to go out for a lot of 8 because that by that point I had already wrapped. You know, and you know, that's the beautiful thing about the internet and like Insta and DMs. Like, you know, you build relationships with people. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And so with that, let's actually get into the episode and talk about building a connection. Speaking of making a connection, you know who made a connection with me is Sergeant Sullivan singing
what kind of
Vandross.
connection? What kind of
Luther Vandross Here and Now. Yes. He was connected with my heart because I was like, he was singing directly to me. He didn't know it, but that was him proposing for me for marriage.
I mean, and that's complicated because you know he married in real life.
We know, but that's fine. We can work it out. We can figure it out.
No, and
but is that really? That's something I was wondering. Is that really him singing, or is it like a voice track or something like that?
And let me tell you, so that was written before it was cast, and that's the thing about like streaming. Like we had all the episodes done, or at least a version of the episodes done before we had a full green light. So. Yeah, so thank God Maxine sang. You know what I'm saying? And now to have a white British boy be able to sing Luther. You know,
like he sounded good. Yeah,
he sounded, and like I actually had,
and he was able to sing and not have his accent come, like he still sounded like Sullivan.
Let me tell you something. I am a big Max Parker fan because my man, he ate that. I mean, and everybody on the show is great, but Max, man, to be able to act like that and sing and just like his journey is just it's one of those things where like it's like I can heal certain parts of myself, and like that's the beautiful thing about writing. I can heal certain parts of myself in the most innocent way because nobody knows what is what and like what are the things. But for me, that Luther moment is very special, and it was very intentional. You know, Luther was a closeted,
gay man,
black man. Yeah, he was a closeted gay man. And I think having Sullivan experience this moment and have to watch his best friend have a moment that in that time he does not think he was going to be able to have. And, you know, and in 1990, Luther.
And in that time, he couldn't have it because it was illegal. Yeah, it was illegal.
And Luther was at the height of his career at that moment. You know what I'm saying? It was one of his biggest songs. And having that as like, not only as a tribute to Luther, but, you know, to basically have a moment to everybody who's ever felt that they were not either worthy of love or couldn't have that moment, to allow themselves to be seen. You know what I'm saying? And also know within the 2025 perspective that we are worthy of love and that we are deserving of that. So it was like, there's a lot of nice little throwbacks that I put and little shout outs. And that was my way of honoring, you know, the spirit of Luther.
And speaking of that, like in terms of like honoring that moment of love, but also mourning that sense of relationship and love that he himself is not able to experience. We kind of see at the after party where he like kind of, you know how like Cope has his like his other self. You kind of see that with Sullivan where he has his other self is his lover, Major Wilkins.
Yeah, Wilkinson. Because I think and I feel like we always, or a lot of us carry those like, what would that look like if, you know? And I think he's very much, well, I was gonna say Wilkinson. Sullivan liked the sauce, he became sauce, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in that moment, it's just like he's having that conversation and that he wishes he could have, knowing that he fucked it all up, or
He
that,
fucked it,
what
he
I'm
fucked
saying,
it
that,
up.
yeah.
And I think part of the reason he was having that conversation with himself in the form of Wilkinson is because he feels guilty.
Absolutely. And he doesn't even know that his actions led to that yet. He
Yeah,
finds
he
that
doesn't
out
know.
later
He
on.
doesn't know that yet. But
So
like,
it's it's this horrible downward spiral that happens when, you can't, or you feel like you are not worthy of love and can't love yourself. And I think, to me, that, like, in terms of the Sullivan character, that was the hardest to explore. The hardest and the most easy, because, like, I spent a big part of my life thinking that certain things would never happen to me, that I wasn't worthy of love, or whatever. And through lots of therapy, like, you begin to unlearn that. And out of all the characters, he's the one that I have the most tenderness towards. You know what I'm saying? Like, there'd be moments where I was like fucking crying, like,
I agree. Like at a certain point,
yeah,
I started to care more about his storyline than even Cope.
I know you saw that, and I was like, gag. But I think one of the things, I mean, and like they say, as a parent, you always love your babies equally. I mean, that's not true. I don't think. I know. I was my mom say that, but like with certain characters, like, and I think with Cameron, I would, like, for me, there's certain characters like, oh, that was my past, that was my present. This is like who I want to be. And I think with Cameron, one of the things I love about Cameron's journey, I feel, is about integration. It's like that other thing. It's like, and like learning to be the truest version of yourself. And I think ultimately that's part of the story that we're telling.
Mm-hmm.
We're nowhere near there yet, but like, that's where we want to go. So please watch so we can get more seasons.
And we'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna spoil it. We'll
No,
get to that. We'll get to that later. But in terms of that, like, and this also goes to like how the smartness and the genius of the writing. So I'm like, because I'm also live on TikTok as well. So I'm like waving to people as they join. But also, guys, if you're watching on TikTok, the actual live is on YouTube. My YouTube channel, Black Gay Comic Geek, is with the writer of Boots Episode 7, Dominic Colon. So if you want to see his lovely face, you'll be able to see it on the YouTube channel.
And it's Cologne. It's Cologne, Michael.
Oh, so I was saying it right. You should have, all this whole time, you didn't correct me.
You said once. I was like, I was like, maybe you just can't read too good.
Cologne. Okay, there we go.
Cologne.
Okay, okay, now I know. I noticed. I see the accent now. I didn't notice that before. Cologne. Now you made me forget what I was about to say. Oh, the smartness of the writing. So like, because there's certain, kind of like what you said, there's certain moments with Cope that I can identify with, there's certain moments with Sullivan that I can identify with, but like the idea of like, oh, if somebody, be it, growing up gay in the closet and everything like that, if somebody just had the stench of being gay on them, I'm like, oh, I don't want to associate with that, because then what if they think I'm gay?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna have to deal with that. And granted, I am, but I don't want you to know about it.
Yeah.
So
and like I always say this, like, homophobia has been around forever, but homophobia at that time in the early 90s, like late 80s, early 90s, that was the beginning of the AIDS epidemic. So it was constantly being like, it wasn't just, oh, we don't like gay people. It was just like on the news.
Yeah, it was gay people are disease. Yeah, you got,
and like,
you're
you
diseased. And
you know what I'm saying? So growing up, as a young gay person, like, that was my mentality. I'm gonna be gay and I'm gonna die of AIDS and like all that shit. So like that fucks you up. You know what I'm saying? Like that,
And then people saying like, see, this is what happened. This is God's punishment.
But, and that was part of my journey. Like, I am HIV positive. I've had HIV for 20 years. And that was part of my journey. Like, I think psychologically, like, I kind of grew up at that time. And then, when I did test positive, it was like, holy shit, this is what's supposed to be. Like, you know what I'm saying? Then you start playing the whole like, oh, fuck, And it wasn't until like I kind of went on my own healing journey, and healing not just like physically, but like emotionally, and unpacking and like really kind of like facing this shit that Sullivan never got to face, is why I'm able to kind of give voice to that experience.
And poor Sullivan, yeah, he definitely needs some
He
therapy.
needs a hug. He needs some hug. He needs some therapy. And it's like, you okay, boo? You know. But
But
that
let me,
being said, one of the things that I fucking love about him is his love for Cameron. And I don't think he's a villain at all. I think he is, I think there's a sense of him where he like in his fucking twisted mind, he thinks he's helping him, in the beginning.
yeah.
And then like he actually ends up being much more of a mentor. So, and Andy has this great way of putting it, going from tormentor to mentor,
To a mentor, yeah.
and
I don't think he's a villain, but he definitely does some villainous things.
yeah, but you know what I'm saying? But the reality is that's life, and that's the
That's life.
complicated
Yeah, that's
messy shit of
definitely life.
is that nobody is all good, nobody's all fucking bad. Like, what I'm saying? We are complicated human beings. And I think to be able to show the humanity of these characters, that's the goal. You know what I'm saying? Because so often it's so easy to write people off. Oh, you're this, oh, you're that. No, we're not just anything. We are and everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So with that said, let me actually ask you this really quickly. Being that you are one of the writers of this show, which technically, to throw a Marvel reference in there, you're not the one above all, which would be Andy, because he's the main overseer, but you are still one of the pantheon of gods.
Absolutely. And I think one of the reasons why Andy was such a good leader is because he didn't play, oh, you're this level or you're this. Like, it was very much of like, okay, so what you got? You know what I'm saying? And does this work? And I think, that was my first room experience. And like, while I did write episode 7, like physically at the keyboard and like punching it all out, there's so much of me in other episodes. You know what I'm saying? And so much
That was
of
going to be one of my other questions.
yeah,
Did you
and
have
so much
input
of
in
the other writers in my
episodes?
episodes.
Yeah.
Like, because we literally kind of block out everything beat by beat of what's going to happen in every episode. And then one person is assigned an episode and goes off and writes the shit. And then, but like, there's stuff in all of it, of all of us, and I think that's why it's so fucking dope and so beautiful. And like, little trinkets, like kind of little shout outs. Like, so Jesse, I don't know if Jesse's still here, but the character of Rob Matra, I took that name off of one of my dear friends who passed away in his sleep a couple years ago. And it was like, and I knew that was, what up, Jazz? I knew that would have a high probability because of the wedding scene and like having to say his name, that would have a high probability of getting in. Because names are tricky because names have to clear and whatever. So I was like, let me just take the stab at it and whatever. And then it worked. And I was like, wow. And like, I knew it would work. And like, I kind of felt it. And like, so yeah, so that was like my own little uplifting of Rob. I give a shout out to MASH, the TV show MASH. Like, yes, it's the game, but MASH was very, I remember watching MASH to kind of prep for this. That sort of like drama, but also it was fun, yeah, I'm a nerd like that. I come from theater, so like everything has meaning. Yeah.
So with that said, my question as one of the gods, especially of episode 7, do you think, I can't think of the character's name, but Sullivan's best friend?
Matra. Yeah, Rob Matra.
Okay, Matra. So as homophobic as he is he secretly gay?
I don't think so. I don't. I think that
okay, you don't think so?
I think he is a product of the institution of the Marines. And I think that is very real. You know what I'm saying? And I think, if not to be like, oh, if there was like, here's the thing. How different would life have looked if Sullivan would have had the confidence to be if he was his Ray? And the thing is, to a certain extent, he was. Like, they literally, they've saved each other's lives. And like that's why that speech in the beginning is so important. It's like they fucking literally been in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? Literally had their lives, and he still didn't feel comfortable to share his truth. How fucked up is that? The man asked him to speak at his wedding, his best man, and he still can't say. And I think that is one of the, like, you need juxtaposition in writing, and to see what Ray and Cameron have so special, and Sullivan doesn't have that.
Yeah,
And
because the sad reality is, if Sullivan did come out to him, based off of how homophobic he is, just saying, "Oh, I like men," that's enough to just blow up the entire relationship.
It could be, yeah, it could, or it might have. I mean, here's the reality, like, you know, we never fucking know, and
You never know, of course.
But the reality is, you know, and again, the stakes of the story we're telling, you know, you can fucking go to jail. You know what I'm saying? In the Marine, like this is what we're playing with, and like, yes, you know, we have haha kiki moments in the show, but there is fucking real stakes, you know.
Yeah. Speaking of stakes, you got Cope playing with some stakes right now, because he's like openly checking out recruit Jones. Yep. In the shower. The episode, it opens with some booty in the shower.
We have a lot of booty on the show.
Got a lot of booty in this episode.
We have a lot of booty in the show. Yeah.
And so we got, you know, the new gay character, the new gay kid on the block, a more confident gay character who instantly clocking Cope's tea.
Be able to do it. And let me tell you, I fucking love Jones, and I love that I kind of got to be selfish and have him for my own almost, you know what I'm saying? Because he's a little bit in 6 and he's a little bit in 8, but his story.
Well, you really get to, you are the one that really get to introduce him.
Yeah, and the thing is, I love the moment that they have together in the woods, because that is where, like, Jones gets to be his unapologetic self. Like, and I think one of the things that, you know, that I love about Jones is the embodiment, as much as you can be in the Marines of 1990s, of that radical queerness. Like, he kind of doesn't give a fuck. And he has also acquired the ability to mix in anywhere. You know what I'm saying? And I think, at least for me, life, you know, life taught me that, and I think life gave me the confidence. Like, I could be anywhere. I could be in the fucking middle of the hood. I'll be I could be in a board meeting. I'll be I. Like, that's just part of who I am. And I think that's part of what Jones brings to the table. And just, you know, he's a little experienced. He's a little seasoned.
And there's a line that he says that I really love, when he was like, "Act no matter where you are, act like you belong."
Yeah, absolutely. And like, and it's a less powerful version of the claim your place, because it's more along the lines of the fake it till you make it. Yeah. But like, you know, but in that situation, it's like, that's what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how you win. Play the fucking game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you signed up for a reason, you know. And I think, you know, again, there's love between Cameron, you know, and it's not necessarily romantic. I think Cameron's open just because he's just like, he's just like, you know, it's like, I don't know if you ever had, like, for me, when I was coming of age, the first gay club I ever went to was in the 90s. And I remember when I went to specifically my first gay Latino club was, you know, and it was like going to Oz, you know what I'm saying? Or like Emerald City is just like, where in like Wicked, where like everybody kind of looks like you, and you're just like, oh my God, like, I don't like in Wicked. Musical theater reference.
Yeah, like, no. I'm definitely. I know. I'm definitely. I'll be going to see Wicked when it comes out next month, multiple times.
And that's a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? To be able to be witnessed by community, and I think Cameron sees that in Jones, and Jones sees it in Cameron. Like, from just like, whoop, it's like the, you know, the gaydar goes off.
Especially being that, like, kind of like he mentioned, he's never really had another gay person that he could just like express himself to, like the conversation, like just talking about dicks and you know,
he's
things
young.
like that.
And he's young, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I got to get this all off my chest right now.
Yeah, that's a conversation he can't have with Ray.
Yeah,
he can tell Ray, like, he's going through.
You know,
Yeah.
And Jones clocks him. He's like, yeah, but you can't talk to him about everything. And he's just like, and I think that's the first time Cameron ever realized that. He's like, oh shit. You know, I can talk to Ray about sucking dick. Not that I know what it is to suck a dick, but
yeah,
like,
but you
also,
can't.
like, yeah, and I think, you know, I mean, Cameron. Here's the thing, and like, there's been like critiques of the show where it's just like, there's not enough sex and there's not enough this. He's 17, and like,
well, we didn't find that out until
and in 1990 or 18, but even in still, boot camp in and of itself is very insular. People ain't gonna be fucking in boot camp. I don't know what show people wanted to see, but it's definitely not gonna be Boots. And if it was Boots, that would not be an authentic version of what it's like in boot camp. And then Cameron comes from West Bumblefuck. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like he has this experience of it. And like, this is pre-internet. You know what I'm saying? Back then, porno magazines were exactly like you had to go to a store and cop a magazine or cop a videotape. To me, Cameron,
yeah, 1990. This was like right before dial-up internet.
Yeah, I mean, not even right before. I want to say like 5 years before. You know?
Okay, yeah. Because what I think AOL came out like what 95. I think.
I mean, put it this way: I started college in '94, and that's when I first heard about the internet.
Okay.
So and like it was like and it was like a complicated version of the internet. And yeah, so all of that to say this, you know, and we're in '90 still.
Yeah,
so it's just like
literally 1990.
Like, you know, I think people forget that sometimes, where it's just like, you know, but I'm looking forward to telling those stories too. You know what I'm saying? I want Cam to get some at some point. You know what I'm saying? I want people to, you know, because thus far, you know, Sullivan's the only one being able to get a little booty. You know, so those will come. Yeah.
Speaking of, in terms of like wanting Cameron to get some at a certain point, let me ask you this, because even when like somebody says, no way I feel like Nash is straight. Well, I don't know. I not see it, but I can't wait for season 2. I ship Nash and Cameron.
You what? You what?
I ship Nash and Cameron. That's who I see their connection together. And part of me is like, granted, Nash, he did some shitty shit, and like, but he kind of atoned for it in a certain way. But like, I like their relationship. And part of me, and I've said this in my other episodes, I'm like, he might not be 100% gay, but ain't no way that man is 100% straight. I don't see it. I don't buy it. Because like, there are moments that like, before we find out what happens in the book, like what's it written in the book, there are moments and interactions that he has with Cameron that I'm like, ain't no way a straight man would do that. Like the moments that there's a moment where like the two of them are in a shower and that they're both like completely naked and Nash is smiling at him like, hey, I'm like, ain't no straight man doing that. Like, ain't no way.
I mean, I'll plead the fifth. In my mind, I can only say what I've, you know, thought about.
So that's what I was gonna say. I mean, obviously you can't tell me anything about season 2, but in your mind,
we don't know. We trying to get season 2 so we can tell those stories.
But in your mind, right now, would you agree or like what do you think? Tell as much as you can say.
Honestly, and this is just real talk for me. I don't think Nash is straight. Oh my God! Wait, no, rewind. I don't think he's gay unless that was a Freudian slip. Nash is always
that was definitely a Freudian slip.
Yeah, damn. Now y'all got me questioning. I've always thought that Nash was straight. Maybe someone in the room or otherwise could convince me otherwise. But for now,
I'm not in the room, but we in the room together right now.
All right now.
I'll give you a whole dissertation.
And that's the beauty of the writer's room. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit changes all the fucking time. So, I think it would have been too easy to make Nash gay. I think people would expect that, or even because there were people that were mad that, you know, Sullivan and Cam didn't hook up, and I'm just like, I think one of the beautiful things about the show, I really love the fact that nobody really hooked. At least
I wouldn't have wanted. I wouldn't have wanted that, Cameron and Sullivan.
Yes, we are all we manifesting. How about this, Dress Free K? We are manifesting season 2, 3, and 4. How about that?
Yeah, we'll get to that because I also have questions of like, if there is a season 2, like where would it even go, considering like they're not in the Marines anymore, like, and especially in order to keep everybody together, like how would that? But we'll get to that.
And let me tell you, I still love my job, and in the hopes that I will still have a job, I'm not going to talk about any of that because I don't know. And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of the room. We will figure it out once that happens. I mean, we always knew from jump that season 1 was going to end in that bar with the announcement that troops were invading Iraq, and we knew we were going to go in. That's the reason why Andy said it in 1990. What I can say is that if we're able to tell that story, that's going to look a lot different from season 1. And I think it'll look different in the best possible way. Because, it's called going, and this is how fucking gay the Marines are. So when you're in active duty, like, it's called the fleet. But the fleets.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
or even the conversation where they're like, when we call our shirts blouses, like how gay the Marines.
And like we would literally be talking about how fucking gay the Marines are. So the fleet looks different from boot camp. So there's room for just a lot more story to tell and for us to dig deeper on the ones that we've already started. So that's what I can say. Yeah.
Speaking of endings, in terms of like the connection that's starting to develop between Jones and Cope, in some ways, in my mind, I feel like Sullivan's getting a little jealous, and not like romantically jealous.
Yeah.
I don't mean it in that way, but just in the fact that, like, because before he was always looking up to Sullivan. Now there's this other new gay kid on the block, and they're getting close, and he's kind of looking up to him now. And in my mind, I feel like that's why Sullivan is jumping in to try to break them up, because he feels a little jealous.
Well, I think, it's not romantic jealousy, but it's
no, not romantic jealousy.
It's definitely like you are an obstacle, and I remove obstacles. And Sullivan's job is to turn Cameron into a Marine, if not him. Or
he wants it to be a mini me.
Jones is an agent of chaos. You don't know what Jones is going to do. Jones. Well, that Jones is going to do Jones. And that's why he does his best to remove him, and like he uses him to get what he wants.
Yeah, and very connivingly so.
Yeah, but Jones was down for it. Nobody put a gun to Jones' head.
Nobody put a gun to Jones' head, but still,
Jones
like using the thing that he wants
out. I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me. In this, you know what I'm saying? And that's why it gets so complicated. This is you like fuck, and you never know who to really root for too. Because that's why I love. And I didn't do this moment, but I love that moment. In 8, like after everything that when they say goodbye to each other, because it's just like fuck. But they're still like, you could tell that even though they just went through all this fucked up shit, like he literally beat the shit out of him, or whatever, and there's still some love there. There's just like, I got you. See you in hell, from the center.
So whose idea was it? Was it yours about the sleepwalking scene and how it made it almost seem like it was going to turn into like sex, but then all of a sudden
that was Andy. That was the sleepwalking. That was Andy. Yeah, I got to give it up to Andy.
But that was definitely funny. I like that
because the thing is, we knew that everybody was gonna want him to fuck, and we knew that Cameron would want to fuck. And it's just like, again, that's too easy. That's not the story we're telling. This is boot camp. You know what I'm saying? So you're always thinking about like, what's the obstacle? What does the character want? What's the obstacle to get what they want? And then what gets in the way?
Yeah, how do you mess it up?
Yeah,
and that creates drama and creates sometimes, a lot of times as viewers, we always think, I want these two to get together, and then they get together and they're like, oh, now it's boring, or I want this to happen, or whatever. So like creating a level of conflict and a will they won't they makes it a little bit more juicy and enticing.
Yeah. Wait, so I feel like y'all, you're supposed to be reviewing the show, and we doing a Q&A. Like,
I mean, we talking through the episode.
Shit, Michael. No.
But no, we talking through the episode because I enjoyed this episode. I will say, to be my favorite episode I think is 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because of like the aftermath of everything that happens with the Choa and how deep and everything like that it goes. But I really enjoy 7 as well. 7, 8, 7, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are like the peak.
Yeah, I mean, I love 6. I love 7. Clearly, I love 8. I mean, I love all of them, and I think we have a show where each episode, to a certain extent, gets better and better and better. I also really love 4. That scene. It don't matter how many times I watch that scene in the dumpster, I will cry. Like between the scene between Max and Cameron, the earn your fucking plays.
Yeah.
Balling all the time. Yeah. Scene 6, I love the food fight. I love them getting drunk together. I think it is. I love the moment that I was gonna say Rico, but Santos has with Cam with the hat. Shout out to Rico. I fucking love Rico. Like Rico, who plays Santos. That's my boo. I love not my boo, but like that's my heart.
Yeah, I mean, I knew what you meant. Like I know you didn't mean like your actual like.
Yeah, no, but you know, sometimes the girls love to start rumors. Yeah,
but
it's
yeah,
just like, yeah, I mean, because we do so much in that, you know what I'm saying, and the conversations that Nash and Santos have, about being black in a predominantly white space, and how inherently, black and brown bodies are not necessarily safe. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
no matter where you are, even in the Marine.
Yeah, period. Yeah, and like the ability to find community with each other. It kind of goes back to like, the Nash. What am I saying? Nash, the Jones Cameron of it all, and being able to see somebody who kind of looks like you and has your experience, and to have that bond, is something that is really beautiful. We don't necessarily say it in the dialogue, but I think it's so nuanced and it's there. And I'm just proud of it.
And the thing about this episode, like this episode is called Love is a Battlefield, but I call this episode Sullivan Crashes Out, because like that's exactly what this episode is. Sullivan is just fully crashing out because all of the ducks that are, that he kind of set in motion with, outing Wilkinson to his best friend and everything like that, and which then causes his best friend to report him, which then causes NCIS to get involved and all that other stuff and investigating him and the tattoo. Like all of it is starting to come to a head.
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm not gonna sit here and let you talk shit about my man Sully, because if there's another moment that makes me fucking cry, is that phone call scene that he has in 7 with Fajardo. And I could start crying now. It's just the tattoo, they're the same. Like that's him admitting without admitting it. And I fucking love this scene. And the fact that she's like, he just needs a friend. He needs an ally in that moment to be like, see him, I got. And even though Fajardo has written for Sullivan, and she like up until the very fucking end, but in that moment, he's drunk and whatever, and when something turns when she's like, and that's none of mine.
That's none of mine, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, and like she's doing the best that she can in that moment. That's not necessarily what he may have needed.
But I feel like it was enough though. Because, kind of like I mentioned, and like we both mentioned, he's never had a Ray.
He hasn't, but I think in that moment, like he's kind of throwing out like a little bit, like I need something, and it's a flag, and like because of where they are, that's the best she can do. And yeah, and then.
But I also love not just Fajardo, but I also love that. Why do I keep drawing a blank on names? The senior drill instructor.
Wait, I'm sorry, I got distracted. But I love that cat. I mean, I love Fajardo, man. I love her, and shout out to. I mean, all our actors are so fucking dope, and and the reality is too, they're all fucking great people. And even though, like, I didn't get to spend too much time on set, like the time that I did spend, it was just like, and like we've had a year after that to bond. But yeah, Fajardo is great, and she clocked his teeth from jump, because also, I don't know if you catch this, they know each other. Like she called him in for a specific reason for this job. You know?
But even like McKinnon, when she admitted to McKinnon that he's being investigated for being gay, he's like, there's so much other shit that they could be doing. Like they don't, like the man has a purple heart. Like who cares?
Who can?
I was like,
Shout
okay,
out,
McKinnon.
shout out
Okay,
to
McKinnon.
Cedric. Wait, Cedric Cooper, who plays McKinnon, one of my favorite actors. Just like he's so good on that show. And people need to just talk more about how good and how fine he is.
He definitely is. He is.
He just needs all the posters. Just to be.
He can get the draws will be dropping. He can get it.
Yes, and yeah, I mean, but he's married too, and like God bless. But he is. When I tell you, beautiful person, like yeah, they're all beautiful.
Speaking of beauty, and this is also, I think, why I said episode 6 is my favorite, is because I feel like that's the first episode that I think the if I could describe that episode in one word, I said this in my review, is humanity. I think episode 6 is the time we really got to see like behind the curtain in terms of like the facade of being in the military. We got to see the humanity of everybody because of what happened with Ochoa and the fallout of that. And that includes the recruits and even the senior drill instructor. Like we got to see also more of like behind this, like we got to see with McKinnon's daughter and things like that. Like we really got to dive into their humanity. And also with that, and I bring that up because we also get to see more of that even in this episode with Howard. And the humanity that he brought with Santos.
He's so good. He is so good. My boy Nick. Again, shout out to, I feel like I just gotta give shout out to everybody. Yeah, and what I love about that moment between Nick and Rico, it's a small moment. It's just like they do so much with their eyes and just being able, like when he goes and he pulls them in and and Rico's like, yo, what the fuck? Because he doesn't feel safe.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, he pulls the phone out and he's just like, dial 9 first. Like, and to me, that's like, I got you. You know what I'm saying? And I think, Santos goes on this whole journey with the quarters and it was much more elaborate in the beginning. Like, it was way more elaborate in the beginning. Like, we had to cut a lot. And then to go back and get fucking busted. But just to be able, again, it's about the moments where we're seen, where the moments where we feel unseen. And in that moment, how it is like, I see you, I got you, boom, here's the phone.
And even kind of seeing like when Santos admitted, like the reason I did it is because my daughter found out that somebody died at Paris Island, and like you saw, even though McKinnon was just like, I don't care, you're gonna go to the pit, yada yada yada. But like I love that they did the cut to Howard's face, and you kind of saw a shift in him.
Yeah,
where like. And this is, great. Why, stop texting me. I told you I'm live. Like, leave me alone.
You got to keep them hoes in check. You got to keep the hoes in check. They thirsty, Michael. Tell them
but like you saw, and the great thing about Nick's, performance, like Nicholas, I don't know this man, Nicholas Logan's performance, like you saw that shift in him where he's like, oh, like I felt bad for him, and then which ended up leading to that decision of him letting him make that phone call, because then also he kind of feels guilty about what happened with Ochoa as well.
Absolutely. He's carrying that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because although it wasn't intent, this character still died on his watch, and he didn't know about no pre-existing condition. He just saw, and
he even kind of said, like McKinnon said, like, I've been doing this for 12 years. This is the first time somebody's ever died.
And again, to speak, to the work of the show, we didn't go into that with 5 pages of dialogue. It's stuff like it's moments, it's lines,
small moments.
Yeah, and like shout out to everybody who, like, to the directors, the cinematographers. Like, I don't think people realize how hard it is to create television. Like, it's so like, and I think that was one of the wildest things. Like, once the show came out, like we worked on and off for the show for like 4 years. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we wrote the first time for 10 months, and to be able to be like, you can watch all 8 episodes in less time than one of our days. You know what I'm saying? Like,
wow.
So it's just like, now what? Now season 2.
So what do you think about this comment right here, where somebody's like, the cap felt very sapphic to me?
Oh, like lesbianic? Or,
yeah.
Like, is that an SAT word? My bad. I'm a writer, but like, is that what it means?
That's what it means. Sapphic, like queer, lesbian.
I mean, maybe it takes one to get to know one. I think, she was family. Okay, yeah. I mean, Could it have been? Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like
season 2, guys. Make sure you watch. We'll get an answer in
two.
season 2.
Yeah, you know, like I'm like, yeah, it's
and that's why she didn't care, because she herself.
And that's why she didn't care. But like for me, I think she was
it'd be better if she's not.
Yeah, I mean, well, to me, she's representative of that, like, I don't want to say like mother figure, but just like the divine feminine. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's very much a goddess in this world. You know what I'm saying? And not, but like, there's a scene that got cut that I was just like, oh my god, like they never got where and it was in 6. I don't know if I'm allowed, but whatever. So there was a scene that got cut written wise between Santos and her, and it was done in Spanish. The whole thing was done in Spanish.
Oh,
and
that would have been good to see.
Yeah, and it was Santos basically. He would leave the chaplain thing, that conversation. He was basically like, fuck everybody. And she was there, and they have a conversation. And that was the whole, this is not your thing. This is not your pack. Like, let me put it in my pack. Like, that was the essence of the thing. And I was like, I wish that we could have gotten to see that scene, but we'll see a version of it soon.
They also said, I kind of want Hicks to be queer. LOL.
I think everybody
Angus is queer.
Angus is queer.
He
is body down, and he loves
definitely, yeah. So go look at those shirtless videos, those shirtless photos. But Hicks, I don't know if Hicks is so eccentric that I feel like, I mean,
well, I'm gonna tell you,
$20 is $20.
$20, especially in 1990. In 1990,
I don't see
$200.
Yeah, I don't see Hicks turning down a little sucky maybe.
You know what I'm saying? You know, to be honest, I don't think a lot of them. Like, I actually think, and like I think this was the discussion early on, but I mean, it fell out. Like Slovacek too. I think Slovacek is from New York. Slovacek has seen shit. You know what I'm saying? I think Slovacek, you know, get a little handy maybe. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely. Slovacek gives me like, oh, I'm not gonna do it, but I'll let somebody suck my dick. You know, it's not gay if they doing it.
You know.
So I get that. I get that from him as well.
We just feeding people's fantasies.
That's my motto is always make it blacker, make it gayer. So like, I have no problem.
I hear that.
Making a whole dissertation of like who's gay, who's not, and everything like that. So I forgot what I was about to say, where I was about to go with that. Oh, but in terms of like, you know, pushing characters and things like that, we kind of see like, especially like Crashing Out, we see like Cope crash out a little bit, where he like has this little Hulk moment in the fight with the, you know.
I think that is, unfortunately, that is a result of, you know, the gay, not the tools that Sullivan used for him to access his anger. Cameron has 17 years of unprocessed anger. You know what I'm saying? That was just, and this is Sullivan putting the fucking little
from all the bullying. I mean, not just Sullivan,
you know,
but
and life. And he's able to do, you know. But like one of my favorite, you know, Cameron Max moments. Sullivan, I'm sorry, I call it, but like when Cameron does that look back, and Sullivan gives him that look like, yeah, motherfucker, this is it. And like, again, unspoken. Ooh, and then he has the flashbacks, and then it's just like all of it is just out. And then,
but even Jones too, to a certain extent, Jones is like, I feel like you have more rage than all of us.
Yeah,
because you never let it out. So at a certain point,
and that's what happens. That's unprocessed anger. That's all that shit.
And Sullivan knew that. That's why he told Jones to say, I'm not gonna say the word because it might get flagged on YouTube.
All that is, you know.
I don't want the video to get flagged on YouTube, but like
I don't want it either because we talked some real stuff. But
he knew to call him that, or told Jones that he knew to tell Jones to call him that because he knew he was gonna snap.
Yeah.
Based on everything, you know, that happened, and then to look at the aftermath of what happened with Jones. Ooh.
Yeah. No, that was. Let me tell you. So that there was. So you know, there was one. Honestly, if I could choose any day to be there, and I came so close to getting there, but they couldn't work it out with my schedule, was the wedding. I really wanted to be there for the wedding. And then if I would have had second, I would have been the fight. But what was crazy is that, and this is again all spiritual, how it all worked out. My first day on set was that big graduation. But
Okay.
like seeing everybody in the dress, like, and that was like, wow, aw.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm curious about your experience of like being on set and things like that. Like, how was
Well,
that?
the thing is, sets are not new to me because I'm an
Well,
actor.
yeah, you're an actor, but this time you're coming from a different side of it as the writer.
Well, I mean, a writer of this like TV show. I think what was, I mean, what was, I mean, and I don't know, like, so we followed each other on Instagram. What the craziest moment out of that whole experience, because there was a time when I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get to set, but then it was able to work out with the changing of my schedule and all that stuff. But Mel, who was the writer's assistant and Andy showrunner's assistant, in addition to being my very good friend and homegirl, she picked me up from the airport when I landed in New Orleans. And within 5 minutes, just chilling in the car, listening to the radio, Luther Vandross's "Here and Now" began to play.
Oh
And I
wow.
freaked the fuck out. I taped it out, and then I was like, "Yo, that's great." And I was like, "Yo, this is not a place." She's like, "No." So it was very much like I knew it was divine. I knew that was the way it was supposed to be. There were so much stuff that I've learned working on task, and I knew I needed to be working on task because that also not just fed me as an actor, but fed me as a creator, because that team of people was just fucking phenomenal. So I was able to learn a lot from them and bring it to the time that bring it to everything that I work on, honestly. But it was very special being able to be there for the end of Boots, and be able to kind of close out this chapter and like meet certain people for the first time, meet people for, because I obviously met, all my, the writers of the
You
show
met the
that I had
writers.
met. And I had met some of the cast before too. And like, you know, Rico and I, like the second Rico got cast, I was just like, we need to talk. Well, because I don't know if I said this. So,
Did y'all know each other before?
no. So what happened
No.
was, remember when I was talking about
And for those of you that don't know, Rico is the one that plays Santos.
Santos, yeah. So long story short, I remember when I was talking about how the tempos and people pitching and the ideas. So when Andy pitched Ochoa's death, he asked for notes afterwards, and I was like, "You can't do that." And he's like, "Well, what do you mean you can't?" I was like, "You can't kill the only Latino male character that is on the show." I was like, "Absolutely not." I was like, "That is the biggest trope." I was like, "You have all these white people." So we kind of went back and forth, and like, it was a great story. Obviously, it worked, because people are very attached to, Ochoa and that. But what we kind of landed on was like, all right, well, if you're gonna take one, you got to give me one. Like, we need another Latino character. Like, you can't just have Homeboy die. So he was like, all right, so well, then what do you got? And then in that moment, that's when I pitched Santos. So Santos was literally like, oh, and like Dominican would like literally came out my ass, literally. And
Santos.
Well, so originally, and this is so another writer has a friend, Nick, another Nick, who has his best friend is called Polanco. So that's where that came from. So originally he was called Polanco, and then the name had to get changed because there's a real Polanco, and like names are complicated. But in terms of like, the Dominican from New York and all that, like his backstory, like I pitched that straight in the room, and then all of a sudden he became a huge part of the show, and like we would love to write for him. So like, and like literally changed, I think, the whole back half of season 1.
Yeah,
Because
like
we had all
when you showed up, things, and he almost kind of took a leadership. He almost kind of took a more leadership role.
Absolutely, and that was all intentional. So I was very kind of protective of that character, because he was kind of like my baby. You know what I'm saying? It was very intentional of like making sure that we had a dark-skinned Dominican, representation on the show. And yeah.
And he also spoke Spanish because Ochoa and Max, they don't speak Spanish.
Like, again, have that, have the diversity within, I hate saying like, we're not a monolith, and we're not, like, but to have the various different types of representation on it, is something that I fight for. And like, so once Rico got cast, I was like, oh my God, like it felt like I hit him up automatically, and like we developed a type. Like I consider him my nephew. Like that's like we talk all the time. Like yeah, like
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Anybody else that you like still speak to? Or
Oh,
have
I mean, I think we all will. DMs, Instagram is all great, but I feel like so Rico and I we talk a lot. Anna and I we talk a lot. Um, Cedric and I talk a lot. Nick, Logan, like yeah, I feel like all the adults, and like you know, but like I got love for all. I mean everybody, and I think we, cast and writers and producers like, you know, we created something really special again to bring it back, and like people want to talk about it, and like this show is the success it is because so much love went into it. So we all fucking love this show, and we love these like, and we love each other. Like even when, I kind of got there, and people didn't know me off the bat. Like they knew who I was, and like there was love off the bat, and you see that in the show. And I think everybody who worked on this show, put their heart into it, and hopefully, we get to do more. And so please tell people to watch. We're still waiting for word, and we still.
And so with that said, speaking of love and things like that, obviously got people here in the chat. I've been talking about every episode, like it's been hitting numbers on Netflix, got people watching on TikTok and things like that. So
TikTok is hilarious. I'm not of that world of TikTok, but when I dabble, because people send me shit, and I'm like, the whole order of who would you fuck? My God, taking people out.
I haven't seen that one, but
there's a bunch. There's a ranking, a blind ranking of like who would you fuck. Oh my God, they kill me.
I could already put my order.
FYI, some of the cast is looking at them and taking it personal. They're like, what you mean I'm 6?
But like in terms of like the love and everything like that, obviously people hope that there's going to be a season 2, and obviously I know you just said you don't know everything like that, and then of course what the structure of season 2 would be, because you have to talk with everybody else, the writers room, where they want to go, everything like that. But right now, where would you want to see a season 2, and especially in terms of like characters? And then also like my question is, how structurally can that work? Because now technically Sullivan is like MIA. He's about to get kicked out the military. So if they're away in like Iraq and Kuwait, he's kind of not going to want to be there. But fans and audience members would still want to see him. But then so I'm trying to figure out like how it would work, because also we want to see all the characters together. But now that they're graduated, they're not in boot camp. So like basically, how would you want to see season 2? In a sense,
this is what I feel comfortable saying. I want to see season 2, and I could absolutely promise you this: if you thought season 1 was lit, season 2 will be the fire of all fires in the best possible way, because shit's about to get real. Boot camp is like the warm up. Now shit is about to turn up. So that's what I will say.
Okay. And then a follow-up to that, not necessarily with like, because I haven't read the book.
Well,
like,
so here's the thing.
I don't know if the first book is just the boot camp.
And again, so like while we are based on, shout out to Greg, Cope White's book, The Pink Marine, it is an adaptation, and Andy did not want to do like, a straight up like, rip off of like what the book was. So the book is set in 1979. So while there are elements that is true, it's Andy and ours kind of, interpretation of that book. Like, so one of the key things, so that that the story that Sullivan says in 8 about getting the metal taped to his leg, making weight. So that's Greg's story. So that is in the book to Greg. So it's just like there's certain little things that are taped, but it's not the same exact thing. Traumatizes it. Yes, we all need it to be renewed. So definitely, buy the book if you want, and to get a more in-depth story of like Greg's life story and Greg's experience. Yeah, because it's a great book. It's hilarious. It's different in the sense like you're not going to see a lot of the same characters, but you will recognize like parts of characters in what we created.
Yeah,
and also Greg was a writer on the show too.
Okay.
So yeah, so
because I'm also thinking like if they go to war, that means we're not going to see McKinnon, we're not going to see Howard, we're not going to see Fajardo because they're technically not.
No, that's not true. And see, that's no, absolutely. Like, so boot camp, a DI, that's a job, that's a position. You cycle through positions all the time. So like, they could absolutely be there. You know what I'm saying? If it, deemed it necessary, like whatever the writer's choice is. But like, there's a world where they could be. Yeah.
Okay.
It all.
In the hands of the writers,
everybody gonna be like, is it realistic to kind of magically transport everybody? Like.
Yeah, no, but it's TV. It's TV.
But but we gonna make some shit pop. We gonna make it pop. We gonna make it work. We listen. We know the fans love this story, but you have to understand that we love these stories. And I think honestly, like in writing my episode, yes, we had all the beats and everything, but I wrote the story that I wanted to tell. You know what I'm saying? And then everybody comes in and puts their own little sauce on it. Andy's the one who kind of oversees it. The voice to make it all sound the same, but like, to make it all sound like the character, you know what I mean?
And telling the story that you want to tell, like I mentioned, my favorite line was with why am I drawing a blank? I keep drawing a blank on people's name. Jones, him saying like, act like you belong no matter where you are. That's like my favorite line of the episode. Do you have like a favorite line or moment in your episode?
That's so hard because I have several. Luther, that whole dance, the phone call, the conversation in the woods, everything we saw. The whole episode's fire. Santos and Howie in the duty hut, and then obviously I'm drawing a blank, but the hospital. When I almost said her name.
Oh, I was gonna say, we don't know her name.
I know her name.
Okay.
I know her name, and if you go on IMDb, I'm pretty sure you could. But between that Marine and Ray, I love that. I love that character.
Getting to see them bond. Yeah, I love that character too.
Yeah, and just and I love that I got to write Ray messy. Because I love that, like, because he comes in with this whole idea, but like, the fact that he drinks the Jesus juice and like he's sick from it, it means he has no defenses. So everything he's saying is like he is fucking truth. He's like, and this woman,
even him dreaming, saying fuck Harlan.
That's all true. Then like, and we've never really gotten to see Ray kind of uninhibited, like in his rawest form. And
I never heard of MASH. I'm like, what? I had to look that up. I'm like, what is that?
So MASH was the thing. So it was just like, it was this game you used to play. And you have to draw a button on a circle and then count circles and then like go. And this is like mansion, alley, or apartment because people play different. And then you like write the car you have, the number of kids you have, who you end up with. Like there's different ways to play it, but it's just like, and then you like playing your life.
But yeah, I like their relationship, but I definitely want to see more from them. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, Ray. He got jungle fever. She got jungle. So I like seeing that dynamic between the two of them.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, no, they were so cute. I don't know her name. I never got to meet her, but she's very special. Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah, and so like, and then even jumping to episode 8 where she went to the graduation to go.
Oh wait, no, that's a lie. I did totally meet her. Yeah, no, I totally did meet her. I didn't get to spend too much time with her, but yeah, no, I did meet her because she was on set that day. Yeah, I'm old. I forgot.
But yeah, so this is a really fun episode, and I really enjoyed the episode overall, and like this show overall. And I just want to say thank you for even being a part of it. Helping to put this out there, because I always say representation matters, and through representation equals normalization. So just getting to have this another queer show out there
Yeah, yeah.
And Grant, I know you didn't have anything to do with this, but then a lot of the actors are also queer.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
not
the
a
thing
lot,
is,
but like,
no, no, we have queer representation. You know, we have black and brown represent, like, you know, and I think again, you know, and I swear Andy's not paying me to be his hype man, but I think it starts from the top, and I think he's very intentional. He was very intentional in how he cast the show, very intentional in who he put in the writers' room, and I'm excited for what's to come.
I'm definitely excited for, you know, we're going to speak it into existence.
Yes, we are. Yes.
Season 2 is going to come.
And here's the thing: tell all your people, is like, continue to tell, like, you know, like I was chatting with a friend of mine, and she took her wedding, her engagement photos yesterday, and like she was bigging it up to the photographer, and like she sent me a text. She was like, "Yo, the photographer went home and watched 4 episodes last night." So spread the word, because unfortunately, you know, show business is a business, so people got to watch, you know.
Yeah,
and
so I'm trying to spread it as much as I can,
you know,
as much as
and
people
she's an
watch and
expensive show,
engage.
and you're doing a great. No, that's why I wanted to do it, because you show it so much love. But yeah, you know, she's an expensive show, and if we go to war next year, that's expensive.
Yeah, especially if you're going to war, that's going to be more money. Like, yeah.
You know?
So you need season 2 to get, you know, a bigger budget. So I want to speak it into existence. Season 2 is going to come, and with season 2 coming, we're going to get Nash. I mean, not Nash. Oh, well, yeah, but Cope and Nash, they're going to come too.
Yes, they're going to come.
They're going to come. Season 2 is going to come. Cope and Nash are going to come together. So that's my prediction. For a different type of come.
Yes, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
So yeah. So with that said, before I let you go, I don't want to take too much of your time. Anything that you got coming up, or that you want to promote or let people know about, or anything like that?
Well, besides the obvious, the show, I am. Wait, you disappeared.
No, I'm still here, but I just made you bigger.
Oh, well, okay, damn. Like, put the makeup on, damn. So I am currently adapting the television adaptation, much like of what Andy did for Greg, of Fat Joe's book, The Book of Jose. So I sold that to Stars. So that kind of has a big chunk of my time. I'm developing other projects that I can't really talk about. Book of Jose I can talk about, because that was released in terms of the media. So and that's already set up at Stars. And then I have a couple other television shows that I'm developing. I also write for theater, so I'm working on some plays. And you know, you can follow me on Insta at Dominic Colon, and then hopefully we'll have more to talk about for season 2.
Season 2.
And season 3 and season 4.
And 4, 5, 6, yeah.
All of it, yeah.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Boom, period.
Although it's Netflix. Netflix usually don't go past like 3 seasons for a lot of shows.
Well, you never know. I've always said that we are the cousins of Orange is the New Black. I've always said that from jump, since reading it. I was like, they're like our cousins. And they had 7. So if we could get 7, you know, you never know. I think there's enough story to take us there. I think we have so much story.
So we'll see.
Yeah, so
but it's up to you guys if you watch. So
yes, please.
Get us to 7 seasons. So thank you again for doing this.
It was my pleasure.
I really appreciated that. Thank you guys for watching and engaging. Like, share. If you're watching on the replay, like, share, comment, interact for the all gay rhythm. Tell your friends, families, and neighbors about Boots. Go watch it so we can get a season 3. And with that, we are out.
Peace.